morning, people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever. At whatever time you are actually watching this, all my best wishes for you. And the thing is, see, today we are actually going to discuss a very interesting, important, earth-shattering, economics changing, a milestone for economics topic. That is actually Great Depression. If you want to understand the Keynesian theory of the general theory of employment, interest, and money. If you want to understand the emergence of macroeconomics, if you want to understand how the economic models are built, why the economics models are built, if you want to understand the economic movements which basically happened from 1942, 2000, 2010, if you want to understand why the government is playing an important role, if you want to understand why capitalism is still surviving, if you want to understand all these important stuff, it becomes very much pertinent that you actually understand what Great Depression is. So the thing is, when we are actually speaking about the Great Depression, so what is this Great Depression? Alright. So here, obviously, to understand this Great Depression, we have to understand when this actually Great Depression took place and in which country it actually started and what was the reasons behind it and all those things. Now, whenever we actually speak about the Great Depression, the first country which actually comes to our mind is America. Right. So whenever you are actually speaking about the Great Depression, the first country which actually comes to the mind is actually America. Now, America. So Great Depression, whenever we speak about Great Depression, we think Great Depression happened in America. And whenever we are actually speaking of the time frame of Great Depression, everyone will obviously think about the Great Depression and they will think of the time when the Great Depression took place. They think about October 29th, 1929. So thing is October 24th to 29 and 1929. And most importantly, they will remember October 29 as a Black Tuesday. Right. October 29 is actually regarded as a Black Tuesday. And the reason being, here is the time when America's stock market crashed, which actually heralded the Great Depression. And when we are actually speaking about the Great Depression actually lasted from 1929 to 1939. Almost 10 years we suffered from Great Depression. The world suffered from Great Depression. Now, it becomes all the pertinent to understand what is this Great Depression. What is this Great Depression? How is billions is being lost in a new stock market crash? In new stock crash, billions are being lost. Obviously, a newspaper of America is actually telling that billions are actually being lost. How is this billions are actually being lost? What is this Great Depression? When we are actually understanding Great Depression in economics, depression is basically a phase in the economy. Depression is basically a phase in the economy in which large number of people are unemployed. See, whenever you are depressed, what will happen? If you are depressed, the thing is you don't want to work. If an economy is depressed, people are not getting work. People want to work, but the thing is people are not getting work. The entrepreneurs have no interest in making investment. No investment is happening. No employment is actually happening. Right. So the thing is, let's actually understand this depression. Let's actually black the screen. Right. So the thing is, when we actually black the screen, what will actually happen? Great Depression. Depression. What is depression? Depression in economy. In economic terms, if I'm actually speaking about depression, it means, first and foremost, the entrepreneurs, that is the businessmen who are basically there, they are not making investment. And when these people are actually not making investment, what does it actually mean? It actually means that when these people are actually not making investment, it actually means that there is no employment which is being generated, no employment. If there is no employment, there is no income. And if there is no income, what it actually means, there is no income. If there is no income, there is no demand for products. And if there is no demand for products, products are not being sold. If products are not being sold, again, it implies that the entrepreneur will not make investment. So here you are sad, and because of that you don't work, and because of that you lose some marks or you fail in an exam, and because of which you will become more sad. The same thing is actually happening even in the context of economy. For whatever reason, the entrepreneur is not making investment. And since he's not making investment, employment is not being generated. Since employment is not being generated, people don't have income in the hands. And since income is not in the hands of the people, they are not demanding. Demand is low. And because demand is low, people are not able to buy products. And since the entrepreneur is not finding his products being sold, he is not going to make investment. So this is what Great Depression is. And the Great Depression actually happened and many people lost their job. The entrepreneurs were not ready to make investment, and because of which people had no income. So this was actually a big problem which actually happened, right? So the impact of the tragedy actually happens in America. The tragedy actually happens in America, and with America, all the Western countries, all the Western rich countries, the European countries, they actually suffer from this Great Depression. They are so much, the people don't have work, the people don't have food to eat, the children are queuing, the children are standing in queue to get food from other people who are actually these philanthropists who are there, the people who are actually giving free food. The children are going and standing in the line to get free food. And the situation in America becomes so much worse that the parents are ready to sell their children. See here, 4 children for sale. The parents are not able to take care of their children. And since the parents are not able to take care of the children, they are in such a pathetic condition that they are willing to sell their children off, so that they are hoping the people who have food, the people who have money can take care of their children and give them food. Right, so obviously there is a tragedy which is actually unfolding here. And that let's actually understand. See, people in America, many people, lakhs and lakhs of people, they did not have job. And there were big posters in America saying that jobless men keep going. And here many children actually came to the street. They demanded, why can't you give my dad a job? So thing is, in America, the situation was, it's not only in America, in many countries, in many Western countries, in many Western rich countries, the rich countries which actually followed capitalism, there the people were not able to get work. The people were not able to get work. The children came in the streets. Small children actually came in the street, and they started asking the government, why can't you give my dad a job? Why are you not able to give my dad a job? So this is what was actually being asked by children. And see, the thing is, even the people, the white people somehow barely managed to scrap meal. So thing is, they were somehow able to scrap their living by eating meal whenever it was provided. And obviously they were highly malnutritioned. The case of the black people in the white country, that was even more horrible. There was in America what happened, there emerged a group called as Black Shirt. So the thing is, a group basically emerged called as Black Shirts. And what did these Black Shirts started doing? The Black Shirts, they actually started killing the black people. The Black Shirts were actually white people, and these people started lynching. These people started killing the black people, because they thought that if we killed the black people, we can take their job. See, here in America, what had basically happened, the white people, 30% of the white people were unemployed initially, and initially 50% of the black people were unemployed. 50% of the black people were actually unemployed, initially speaking. So thing is, these white people and the unemployment situation grew worse and worse and worse. And when more and more white people became unemployed, they started making organizations like Black Shirts, and they started killing the black people, so that they hoped by killing the black people, they could actually get their job. So I think obviously the situation in America was very, very, very desperate, and the same was the case in other Western countries which were actually following this capitalist model. So here, obviously, if this is the tragedy which has happened, next, so obviously we have to understand who was actually responsible for it. So thing is, we have to understand there are many probable causes of the Great Depression. Many people tell there are many causes of Great Depression. The economic causes, they tell, agricultural overproduction happened, the rich became richer, the poor became poorer, stock market crash happened, and the unemployment happened, foreign affairs, Hitler actually takes power in Germany due to hyperinflation, and political effects, FDR Roosevelt, he brings some New Deal program. Political causes, Hoover follows hands-off approach, few regulations in place over companies. Yeah, the people are telling many causes. People are basically telling there are many causes. But the thing is, we have to understand what is the root cause. These are, some of them are symptoms, some of them are causes. But the thing is, we have to understand what is the root cause. If Great Depression is happening, it is not going to happen in an overnight. Great Depression will definitely not happen in an overnight. If Great Depression is happening, it had to have set. And the thing is, it is a manifestation of flaws in economy. So thing is, as far as I'm concerned, and obviously history will agree, if we are actually speaking about the villains, one can be regarded as Adam Smith, right? Probable villains. And the other can be regarded as J.B. Say. So thing is, J.B. Say and Adam Smith can be regarded as villain, or we can regard the misuse of the philosophies they gave. Adam Smith actually gives a philosophy. The Adam Smith actually gives a philosophy of laissez-faire. And J.B. Say also gives a philosophy. He gives a philosophy that supply creates its own demand. So thing is, J.B. Say is actually giving a policy of supply creates its own demand, and Adam Smith is actually giving a policy of laissez-faire. The policy which was actually given by laissez-faire and the policy of supply creates its own demand which was actually given by J.B. Say, the misuse of these policies were actually the villains. The villains are not Adam Smith. The villains are not J.B. Say. The villain is basically the policies or the misuse and mismanagement of the policies which were advocated by Adam Smith and J.B. Say. Adam Smith advocates the policy of laissez-faire. J.B. Say advocates the policy of supply creates its own demand. The mismanagement of laissez-faire, the mismanagement of supply creates its own demand actually became the villain and resulted in the Great Depression. So thing is, obviously, who is the hero? Now, obviously, this man actually becomes the hero. This man is nothing but J.M. Keynes. Now, how J.M. Keynes became hero and how the mismanagement of the policies of laissez-faire policy of Adam Smith and supply creates its own demand of this J.B. Say resulted in the crisis of Great Depression, we will actually try to understand. So thing is here exactly what happened. See exactly what happened. Obviously here there was this great man Adam Smith. Obviously here this great man Adam Smith is there in 1776. He actually writes a book. In 1776 he actually writes a book. And in the write a book, what basically happens is he writes a book called as The Causes and Effects of Wealth of Nations, which is all famously called as The Wealth of Nations. Adam Smith writes a book which is called as The Wealth of Nations. And the thing is, in The Wealth of Nations, he advocates a policy called as laissez-faire. He advocates a policy called as laissez-faire, which propagates the modern capitalism as we know it, which supports capitalism. So the thing is, what is this capitalism? What is this laissez-faire policy? See, Adam Smith said the government must not interfere with the working of the economy. Adam Smith actually said the government must not interfere with the working of the economy. If the government is actually not interfering with the working of economy, then what exactly must the government be doing? What exactly must the government be doing? That is actually the question. So Adam Smith actually tells the government in a capitalistic economy, it must actually do three things. So what are the three things? The first thing is maintenance of military. It actually should maintain military. So thing is military for actually external defense. So for external defense, it actually has to maintain military. And the thing is, what the second most important thing government should do? It should maintain police. Why it should maintain police? For maintaining internal law and order. For maintaining internal law and order, it should actually maintain police. And the other thing is it has to maintain judiciary. And what is this judiciary? Judiciary means the High Court, Supreme Court, the judicial system. Why? For the purpose of enforcement of contracts. For enforcement of contracts, it basically has to maintain judiciary. So these are only the three functions. These are the only three functions of the government according to Adam Smith. So Adam Smith is basically telling if a government is basically there, the government must actually perform three functions. What are the three functions? One is it has to maintain military for external defense. It has to maintain police for internal maintenance of law and order. It has to maintain judiciary for enforcement of contracts. Means a person must not cheat the other person. So this is what Adam Smith says. And apart from this, the government must not interfere in the working of economy. This is what laissez-faire means. Means every person in the economy will work for his own advantage. If I am working for my advantage, you are working for your advantage, the other person is working for the other advantage, and provided the police is maintaining law and order, the military is ensuring the national security of the country, and the judiciary is also ensuring that no person is cheating another person. So legally, when I am pursuing my interest, another person is pursuing another person's interest, another person is pursuing another person's interest, then what will happen? Everyone will do what is advantageous to him legally, and because of which everyone will become rich. Because of which everyone will become rich. So in a capitalistic economy, if you have talent, if you are abiding the rules and regulations, there is no force on earth which is going to stop your progress. America, even now to a large extent, it's a capitalist economy. And thing is, obviously, we have wonderful experiences, wonderful examples of this. And the best examples are you have this Mark Zuckerberg who dropped out of college. And the thing is, you had Steve Jobs, again, who dropped out of college. And you have this Bill Gates. So thing is, these people are actually going, and these people are making millions and billions of dollars. Legally, they are making because they are doing what is advantageous for them. So this was the core of Adam Smith's policy. Adam Smith's policy is laissez-faire, leave us alone. Leave the private people alone. Who have talent, let them make money. So this was the essence of capitalism. And obviously, next you have the JBSA. JBSA is also telling something. So what is actually the JBSA saying? The JBSA is actually saying one more thing. So this is our great JBSA. So this JBSA is actually telling one thing. So what is the JBSA actually telling? JBSA is actually telling supply creates its own demand. So thing is, JBSA tells supply creates its own demand. So what is supply creates its own demand? JBSA is saying all the people are basically lazy. People are basically lazy. If people are basically lazy, and among lazy people, if there are some producers, they will obviously bring to the market those products which are actually in demand. If people generally are lazy, which they are, and thing is, if people are producing, even if the lazy people, obviously, when they want food, clothing, and shelter, if they are producing something, they will definitely produce which is actually demand in the market. If I don't want to waste my energy, obviously, I will use my energy in such a manner that I am going to produce that product which is actually demanded in the market. Only when I am sure that there is demand for cake, will I bring cake to the market. And when I bring cake to the market, obviously it will be demanded and it will be sold and I will make money. If I am bringing shirt in the market, obviously the shirt will be, I am pretty sure that the shirt will be in demand. That's why I'm bringing the shirt in the market. So what this says supply. If you supply something in the market, it will create demand. Supply creates its own demand. And obviously, I have given a great explanation about Say's law of market in my playlist. In my playlist, you can actually find. So, thing is, even you will get a crystal clear idea what Say is actually telling when supply creates its own demand. So, for this theory, I will just go with the very, very rudimentals of Say's law. So, obviously, if I'm bringing cake in the market, obviously, I know that there is demand for the cake. Otherwise, people inherently being lazy, they won't produce something which is not demanded in the market. So obviously supply creates its own demand. So this is what Say said. So when we actually look at the basic stuff of what Say and Adam Smith is saying, we can actually see that both of them, whatever they are saying is right. Both of them, whatever they are actually saying, is right. If everyone works for his advantage, it will be advantageous for the economy, provided they are working legally. That is what laissez-faire policy, which becomes the backbone of capitalism. And what JBSA is saying, obviously, supply creates its own demand, which also makes sense. Now, there was a abuse of the policies of both laissez-faire as well as the policy of JBSA. Whatever the policy JBSA says, supply creates its own demand, was also grossly misinterpreted. And Adam Smith's policy of laissez-faire was also grossly misinterpreted, and because of this Great Depression happened. So what is this gross misinterpretation? See, obviously you think about Industrial Revolution. Capitalism heralded because of this Industrial Revolution, and when we actually have this Industrial Revolution, like what is happening in this Industrial Revolution, we will understand. So in Industrial Revolution, one policy of Adam Smith was leave us alone. So what the government did, the government followed the policy of Adam Smith and letter and spirit, and it went to an extreme. See, the thing is, anything too good is too bad. Anything of too much is obviously too bad. So the thing is, so this is like what is basically happening. Obviously in Kannada there is this thing. ಹೆಚ್ಚಾದರೆ ಅಮೃತನು ವಿಷ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. If taken in too much is too bad. That's what I'm saying in English. So thing is, when the government gave too much freedom for the industries, then what happened? See, there was blatant exploitation of workforce. See, small children, women and small children are utilized in mine, utilized in industries. Women, people, men and women are made to work 18 to 20 hours a day. And children, even children are made to work 14 hours a day. And they are made to work in an unhygienic condition. So thing is, here what is happening? Why did this Great Depression happen? The answer can be actually found in Industrial Revolution and the policies of Adam Smith and J.B. Say. Adam Smith had actually given a policy. Adam Smith had given a policy saying that government must not interfere with the working of the industries or the working of the entrepreneurs. So when you are not putting regulations in place, what the entrepreneurs started doing? The entrepreneurs started exploiting people. So first and foremost, they are making children work 14 hours a day. They are making the adults work 18 to 20 hours a day. And they are paying them very, very, very less salary. They are paying them so less salary that these poor people are not even able to afford 2 square meals a day. These poor people are not even able to afford 2 square meals a day. So they are actually paying them very, very, very meager amount. So when these people are paying very, very meager amount, see, a simple logic which I want to tell is this. When you see about rich and poor in any country, the rich will always be less percentage. The rich will always be less and the poor will always be more. Be it America, be it India, be it Pakistan, be it Bangladesh, be it Switzerland, be it Denmark, whichever. This will definitely be the general trend. The rich will be less and the poor will be more. And the system at that point of time, also in this point of time, the system is such that the rich will always become richer and the poor will work for rich to make the rich richer. So the thing is, the rich will always keep on getting richer and the poor who works for rich will make the rich richer. So this is the thing. Even in India, we actually saw that the 1% of Indian population has the command of 51% of India's wealth. See, people may say that India became, actually even it's a fact also. The fact is what, India became a richer country than France. This year, IMF has predicted in the next year, India is going to be a richer country than England and India is going to be the 5th richest economy in the world. But what you basically have to understand is, yes, India may become rich, but Indians are poor. The poor are becoming more poorer. The rich are becoming more richer. It's not only case of India, it's the case of all the countries. The system is in a place such that the rich will always become richer, the poor will always become poorer. And this was the case. This was also the case even in the context of England. This was the case. So the thing is, this was actually the case even in the context of England. So we have to basically understand that as well. So here in England or in the Western countries where industrialization happened in an unbridled fashion, where this capitalism was followed in letter and spirit, what Keynes was saying, this J.B. Say was saying, supply creates its own demand. So what people started producing. The industry started producing car, refrigerator. Obviously, all this was not there when the Industrial Revolution began, but obviously. What I'm saying is the luxury goods, such as automobiles, such as cycles, such as clothes, such as guitars, such as sofa sets, such as many consumer durables. These industries actually producing more and more goods. So they're employing lots and lots of people, and these people are not becoming rich by the employment because whatever the industries there are, the industries are actually paying them very, very less amount. And this inevitably resulted in overproduction. Why this overproduction happens? Now let's actually understand this properly. So why this overproduction is happening? Let's actually understand this properly. So properly, let's actually black the screen. Okay, let's actually understand why this overproduction is happening. Now here, in any country, you will agree that the poor will be more. Let's hypothetically consider the poor are 30% and the rich are 30%. Here is the poor. The poor is 70% and the rich is 30%. Let's actually think this is what is happening. Now, if the poor is more, the industrialists are producing more goods. The industrialists are producing more goods. Suppose they are producing 100 goods. They are producing 100 goods. The payment, the poor are getting payment. The payment which the poor is getting is very less. The payment which the poor people are getting is very, very less payment they are getting. See, the rich people are, say 30 people are rich in the country. And these 30% of the people who are actually rich in the country, maximum they can buy 70% of the goods. Okay. Sofa set, that thing, this thing. Sofa set they can buy more. 3 sofa set. Automobile they can buy 3 automobile. Cycle they can buy 5 cycles. They can buy 30% can buy 70%. Here what is happening? The poor who are 70%. The poor who are basically 70%. Here what is happening? They are getting very less wages. Since they are getting very less wages, they can hardly buy 2 square meals a day. So they can hardly buy 2 square meals a day. Right. So the thing is, these people are actually hardly able to buy 2 square meals a day. If they are actually buying only 2 square meals a day, they will definitely not buy the coats or shirts or your automobiles or sofa sets. So these things the poor will definitely not buy. And the rich who are 30%, maximum they can buy 70% of the goods. The poor who are 70%, with their whatever little wages they are getting, they are hardly buying 10% of food they are buying. They are not buying luxury goods. They are not buying consumer durables like refrigerators, sofas, TV sets, laptops. These people are not buying luxury goods. They are buying only food. So 10%. So what happened? 20% of the goods which are actually produced, no one is buying it. Because even the rich person, how much a rich person can eat? At max, he will eat 3 square meals a day. And how much sofa set can a rich person have? 1 sofa set. At max, 2 sofa set he can buy. He will not buy all the sofa set which is actually manufactured. So here what is happening? This is a cumulative thing. Great Depression did not happen in overnight. It is actually a cumulative stuff. So 20%, 20%, 20%, 20% of the goods which are actually manufactured, that's not actually being sold. So this finally resulted in what? This actually finally resulted in overproduction. So that is overproduction which is happening in the late 1910s, 1920s. This actually started, the process of accumulation basically started when the Industrial Revolution happened. Because the system was set up in such a manner that overproduction was an inevitability. Because Say had basically told you just bring some product to the market, it will be automatically sold. But if for it to automatically get sold, the people must be having money. All the people must be having money. But all the people did not have money. Because what is happening? The rich is getting richer, the poor is getting poorer. The rich is getting richer. The rich is paying the poor person very meager salary. And when he is getting very meager salary, the poor person, as Keynes would put it, the poor person cannot make effective demand. The poor person cannot obviously make effective demand. And when the poor person is not able to make effective demand, then what is going to happen? Overproduction is going to happen. And when this overproduction happened, now obviously the rich people, the rich industrialists who are basically there, those people want to make profit. Y actually stands for profit in economics. So these people wants to make profit. If I have goods which are not sold, so the thing is here, what is basically happening? I have goods which are actually not sold in the market. Goods are actually not sold in the market. When the goods I have are not sold in the market, then why will I as an entrepreneur produce more goods? I will definitely not produce more goods. I will not produce more goods, and whatever the workers I am employing, I will send the workers home. I will basically send the workers home. So when I send the workers home, The workers who are basically buying these agricultural products now even don't have money to buy agricultural products also. So when the people are not even able to buy agricultural products, even overproduction happened in agriculture sector, and there was crash of prices even in agriculture. Because in economics we know that you obviously know that whenever supply is greater than demand, it implies the prices will crash. So in India, obviously, we will be having like tomato overproduction happened, the price of tomato crashed. Chilies overproduction happened, the price of chilies crashed. So obviously, whenever there is too much of a thing, its value will definitely crash. See, you go to the ground, you pick up a lump sum of sand, no one will ask you because sand is in oversupply. So even if you take a little bit of sand from somewhere, no one will ask you. But if you go to a jewelry shop and take a little bit of diamond, obviously all hell will break loose on you. So thing is, obviously, whatever is scarce, its demand will be more and price will be more. Whatever is abundant in supply, its demand will be less and price will be less. So the overproduction which created depression environment in industry inevitably created depression environment in agriculture, because the poor people, majority of their income was being spent on buying agricultural products, but the poor people lost their job because of overproduction in industries, and the entrepreneurs wanted to make more profit, and since they were not able to sell the goods which they had already produced, then what they happened, they did not want to produce more goods, and since they did not want to produce more goods, now what happened, they started sending off the workers. Pink slip. Now what happened? Now obviously, if this is obviously Great Depression which has happened. Obviously there were many other reasons, but I am saying the most important reason which accumulatingly resulted in Great Depression, and because of which there is lot of unemployment in the economy. So obviously there is a lot of unemployment in the economy. The children don't have food. The parents are so much in a desperate condition that they are willing to sell their children, hoping that the children will get food in some other home, right? And then stock market has crashed, and people are searching for jobs. Children are so desperate that they are coming on the streets and asking the government, why can't you give my dad job? And people are desperate. People are so desperate that the white people are lynching the black people. Organizations, inhuman organizations like black shirts are formed. And these people are in such a desperate condition that I'm not putting a judgment value on anyone, but I'm saying the condition is so desperate that people are killing people in hoping that if I kill another person, I can get that person's job. So this is the heights of crisis which America was going on. It was not only America, but all the countries were going on the same crisis. The same crisis was actually going on, and this crisis was from 1929 to 1939. We wanted a hero. There was tragedy which was already unfolding in the country, in the world, and for this tragedy which actually was unfolding in the world, we wanted a hero to save the country. And who was this hero? We wanted a new discipline to emerge. We wanted the capitalism to be saved. If capitalism had to be saved, this laissez-faire policy and supply creates its own demand policy had to be turned on its head. Another policy had to come, and the unlikely savior or likely savior was John Maynard Keynes, who was an English economist. John Maynard Keynes, who was basically an English economist, he actually writes a book. And the book's name is actually The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. Right. He actually writes a book, and the book's name is, again I will repeat, the book's name is The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, in which Keynes actually advocates. In which what happens, Keynes actually advocates the best way to actually come out of Great Depression. The best way of coming out of Great Depression. And in the crisis, a new school of economics is born, which is called Keynesian School of Economics. Keynesian School of Economics. John Maynard Keynes, who was actually a Cambridge economist. John Maynard Keynes, who was actually the student of Alfred Marshall. John Maynard Keynes now is heralding Keynesian School of Economics. John Maynard Keynes is now bringing an entirely new discipline called as macroeconomics, modern macroeconomics. John Maynard Keynes is now going to give ideas which not only will save the world from Great Depression, but will also be relevant till 1940s. From 1940s to 1980s, Keynesian School of Economics will be highly relevant. and again it will re-emerge like a phoenix in 2007. Again it will re-emerge as a phoenix in 2007, 2008, and another economist from India actually advocates the re-emergence of Keynesian School of Economics. So let's actually see what John Maynard Keynes actually tells. What is the solution which John Maynard Keynes proposes? The solution which John Maynard Keynes actually proposes is dig the well and fill the gap. Dig the well. Yes, John Maynard Keynes says for the economy to recover from Great Depression, what you basically have to do, you have to dig the well and you have to fill the gap. Now, obviously, the question is, what is this dig the well and fill the gap? The thing is, it's not literally digging the well and filling the gap. It is, Keynes is advocating, even if the government is in a critical condition, government must do fiscal policy. Government must build infrastructure. When government builds infrastructure, even though the infrastructure is not necessary, it will enable the economy to recover. Suppose the government is actually building hospital. Right. So think of screen, we will actually black screen. Now suppose the government, in Great Depression is the condition, when Great Depression is happening, government is actually building hospital. If government build hospital, there is obviously demand for cement. There is actually demand for cement. If there is demand for cement, cement industry will start producing. If cement industry will start producing, obviously they will employing some people. If they are employing some people, income is generated. When the government is actually building hospital, some workers are actually employed in building hospital. So even actually government is also generating employment. And with employment, even those people will get income. And with the hospital, there is demand for steel. And when there is demand for steel, obviously income will be provided for steel industry. So the steel industry, if the demand is there, they will start supplying goods. When they start supplying goods, they will actually start providing employment. When they started providing employment, income will be in the hands of people. And with the income in the hands of people, they will start demanding agricultural products. Right. They will actually start demanding agro products. Right. And it's not only steel of demand, there is demand for textiles. Because you require the bedsheet and all those things. You require doctors. So there is a demand for a school. There is demand for teachers. So thing is, building one hospital, you are just building one hospital, and because of one hospital, you are not only providing immediate employment for the people who are actually working in the construction of hospital, but also you are creating demand in cement industry, demand in steel industry, demand in textile industry, demand in doctors, hospitals, school industry, demand in services, demand in paper, demand in paper industry, you are creating demand in drug industry, you are creating demand in medicine industry. Medicines now will start. What Keynes says, Keynes does not believe in supply creates its own demand. Keynes believes in demand creates its own supply. So when the government actually started making some investment, this is a multiplier effect is happening. It is creating demand in various sectors of the economy, and the various sector will start supplying. When they start supplying, they will start generating employment opportunity. When they are starting employment opportunity, income is actually being generated. When income is generated, the people have money with them. Now they will actually start buying food stuff. They will start actually buying clothes, and they will start buying many other things. And because of which economy recovers. So JB said the supply creates its own demand. For that our hero Keynes says, it is not supply creates its own demand. It is the demand which creates its own supply. And who should create this demand? Government must create the demand. Adam Smith, the father of economics, Adam Smith tells, laissez faire, leave us alone. For that, the Keynes says, no, one cannot leave anyone alone because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Keynes understands this concept. Keynes understands absolute power corrupts absolutely, and we have the situation which actually happened in the world. When you left the entrepreneurs to do whatever they want, they started exploiting the workforce. So Keynes advocates government must regulate. Yes, you give them freedom. But you also regulate so that the interest of the majority is also taken into consideration. Yes, you have to support entrepreneurs, but at the same point of time, you also have to ensure the interests of the masses are intact. And in order to that, he said that government must give some regulations. Minimum wages policy and maximum work hour policy. Like this, if you give this, then what will happen? Obviously, such exploitation will not happen, and because of that, the overproduction chances are reduced. And whatever the implication of the Keynesian system, actually from 1940s to 1980s, it actually came about. In 1940s to 1980s, it was very much relevant. But in 1980s, we have that oil shock crisis. If you want me to do a video, you just tell me, I'll do a video on that. And because of that, Keynesian School of Economics actually lost some of its ground. Monetarists started saying that the fiscal policy is not that important, it's not that necessary. Monetary policy is more necessary. However, what happened? Keynesian School of Economics again found its relevance in 2007-8. In 2007-8, the monetary system again in America only, the monetary system crashes. You have the crashes, the Lehman Brothers, all that global recession basically happens. So again in America only, we have seen again the monetary school of economics failing. And in G20, the honorable Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was actually elected honorary fellow of both Oxford University and Cambridge University, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was actually the recipient of Adam Smith Award by Cambridge University, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who actually saved Indian economy from 1991 crisis, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who is actually in the leadership of whose government mind-blowing legislations were actually passed, like Right to Information Act, Right to Education Act, Lokayukta Bill, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, Food Security Bill. This great man actually plays a vital role. He goes to the G20, the most influential forum, and he actually says that Keynesian economics is relevant. In 2007-2008, Pradhan Mantri, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in G20 economy, a renowned economist, a brilliant economist, he goes and he tells the time has come to again revamp Keynesian economics. So the thing is, Keynesian economics or Neo-Keynesian School of Economics has again re-emerged. Keynesian thoughts are again relevant, and Keynesian thought has again relevant, and again from 2007 onwards, Neo-Keynesian or Keynesian School of Economics has again re-emerged, and it has again become relevant. So the thing is, so whatever Keynes' thoughts are even relevant now, obviously some 20, 30 years, it lost its relevance, but again in the modern 21st century, again it has found its relevance as such. So this is what the Great Depression is. And understanding Great Depression is very, very of vital importance if you want to understand the emergence of macroeconomics, or if you want to understand the general theory of interest and employment of Keynes. So the thing is, tomorrow we are going to discuss the general theory of employment, interest and money of Keynes. And for that, obviously, this was the background which you have to understand, like why the Keynes had to bring up that theory. Okay, people, thank you. If you want to like, you like. If you want to dislike, you dislike. If you feel it's worth it, share it with other people or whatever, I don't care. If you want to comment something, do comment. If you want to ask doubt, do ask doubt or whatever. And the thing is, I want to end my lecture, and before ending the lecture, I just want to tell you something. For a wise woman, someone asked, what is the meaning of life? She was a 100-year-old grandmother, and for that, her grandson actually asks her, what is the meaning of life? And for that, the grand old mother who had seen a century, she actually gives him only one word for the meaning of life. And the one word she actually says for him as far the meaning of life is concerned is, he tells, child, the meaning of life is, yes, grandmother, tell me what is the meaning of life. For that, the grandmother tells, my child, the meaning of life is, yes, grandmother, please tell me the meaning of life. For that, the grandmother tells, the meaning of life, my grandchild, is today. Yes, my dear people, the life has meaning today, present, live your life today. Whatever you want to do it today. Whatever your dreams are, for that, whatever work you have to put in today. Today is the most important. That is why it is called present. Present, it is a present for you. It is a gift for you from the God. So enjoy today. Understand the meaning of life is actually in today. Have a great day. Enjoy. We will meet tomorrow. And you can check out the Keynesian theory of general theory of employment, interest and money. Till then, bye-bye, take care, enjoy life because life is in the present. Live your life today, enjoy life. Bye-bye people, bye.